Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into another edition of Slo Ur Roll. We are back. Jesse Caulfield is back in studio, and we have a special guest in, Dan Lorenzano, who's been in here a few times, mostly during the football season, and it's been a while.
It has been a while.
But listen, I mean, if you're a New England sports fan, your world has been shaken up in the past week or so. We had somebody else who wanted to come on too, but he ended up having to have a prior engagement.
Wasn't there like 9 people that wanted on?
There was about 9 people who did want on, and I had to tell most of them that they could come in another week. The other one, did we really ever think he was going to be able to make it for 12:30 on a Saturday?
Listen, you could be talking about any of them.
Yeah, I'm talking about Nick.
I didn't have faith in most of them.
Yeah. Well, Brian wanted to. Brian just ended up having to go to a family party thing. He wasn't very happy about it.
Move on, bro.
He would rather come here and yell about John Henry.
Priorities. I'm supposed to be at a work cookout right now, so this is more important.
It is.
Let's go.
Actually, my mother needs a ride to the airport, so I eventually need to do that too.
But listen, they shipped Devers out of town. This is the most important thing right now, right? But anyway, this isn't an opening rant. We're just going to get right into it. I'll start it at least. But, you know, 2 things can be true at once. I do think trading Devers out does make it a more cohesive roster, but you can be a more cohesive roster and also still be a worse roster. And we all want to talk about, well, maybe he was a cancer in the clubhouse. He's a bad example for the young players. I was always pro trading Devers. I kind of wanted to do it after the season, particularly when you had started playing so well and had just swept the team that was leading the division. You're back in the race. You're probably only a game out of a wild card spot. So it didn't make any sense on the timing. And then also, Craig Breslow has not done any favors for himself in the way he's answered questions, basically saying he didn't really shop Devers around. Why would you not shop the man around and get the best deal possible? I wanted Eldritch. I understand that maybe the Giants weren't going to do that if they're going to have to pay the entirety of the contract. But, like, if you're a top 5 revenue organization in your sport, money shouldn't be that big of an issue. I would swallow some of the money to get the better prospect who's actually, you know, an MLB top 100 prospect. And this is coming from someone who likes Kyle Harrison. So to me, this was absolutely ridiculous in all senses. I don't know exactly if the motivation was only money or whatever. But again, when it comes to bad example, blah, 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 it's not football. Like football, you need all the guys on the field, everybody moving in the same direction, or it's not going to work. Like baseball is a very individual sport. Now, it's the individual that turns into the product of like the whole team together. But like in basketball, you all have to work together. Or in football, you all have to work together. It's individual at-bats that you hope then you can all have good enough at-bats, you score enough runs. For as bad as they want to say maybe the clubhouse was, I mean, it wasn't hurting team chemistry when he was banging 5 home runs in a week and driving in 15 and sweeping the Yankees. So at the end of the day, where is this production going to come from? So I think it was kind of an asinine move. Breslow, to me, hasn't answered the questions correctly enough to make me think that they did the right thing. And maybe if they relocate all this money in the offseason, I will be singing a different tune. But at this point, I'm not particularly happy about it. And again, coming from someone who likes and has watched Kyle Harrison multiple times. So I don't know who wants to jump in here first. But Jesse, I know you're not as angry as most Boston people, but you also don't know how to feel either. You're not exactly excited.
Like, I know what I could feel. But, like, I'm just kind of in the middle. I want the dust to settle still a little bit more. Like, just from a baseball perspective, like, this hurts the lineup. Mm-hmm. He was one of the leading RBI getters in the entire league. Mm-hmm. He's a very protective hitter. You know, he's not making errors in the field. He's been only actually helpful on the field for the team this year. One of the biggest factors for the team this year. But, like, just looking at everything, like, as one of the biggest things I want to know, how do the players in the clubhouse feel? You shake up the clubhouse like that, like, generally emotions will be high in some form or another, whether they're over the moon because the cancer is gone or they're all upset because, like, why did the front office do that? We still think we have a chance here. That's one of our best players, that type of stuff. There's not a lot of guys running to the mic be like, I need to speak my mind on this. A lot of the guys have been pretty political answers. Oh, it's a business. I understand they're trying to do what's best for the team. It was kind of shocking, the timing and all that. But like we're going to go back to playing baseball. The one guy who's been kind of like loud about it, I guess, is Duran. When he went on WEI and he's like, oh, it's just one player. It's whatever. Like, it was shocking, but it's whatever. Like, very much emphasis on it is whatever. He said it like 9 times. So Duran seems to be a guy that, he's not outright saying it, but he doesn't seem bummed out at all. And Duran is kind of an emotional guy in that locker room. Maybe not a leader, but definitely one of the louder voices, I would say. And also like Alex Cora, like he's been at odds with the front office. I wonder, like, is this a move he actually may have wanted? A week before he got traded in Yankee Stadium, like they had a screaming match because he felt Devers wasn't running out of play. So there's a lot to take in here of like, how should we as a fan base feel about this? I get it. He was probably, he's the longest tenured Red Sox. He had to have been popular. I'm literally wearing a jersey of his right now for an All-Star game. I get the fans' immediate reaction of, oh my gosh, we're trying to still win here. That's our leading RBI guy. That's our power hitter. What are we doing? And also the front office has not answered a single question well.
No, they have
at
not.
all.
No.
And it raises a lot of questions. And that's why I'm sitting kind of in the middle of like, the players aren't bummed out. I bet Alex Cora is not really bummed out.
No.
No one seems to be anywhere in the front office and the team sad about this. They all seem to want this to happen. But like the timing, the strangeness of it, and how terrible they've handled it, and it seems like there's not really a plan.
And the package you got.
The trade wasn't that great, but it's like I could have, dealt with a lackluster return if I felt like the front office had a several-step plan here, and it wasn't just about like this guy's
get him out of my sight as fast as possible.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And that's not what sits right with me. But the more that comes out, I'm almost a little grateful. How many leaks have we had in the past week of this front office and how they run things? Breslow has his own little clique. All the veterans in the front office are on the outs. Henry's kind of very hands off at this point. And it's
I was gonna say I wonder how much Henry had to play in this though. I mean, when you have reports,
well, he did because he met with him for breakfast, and it seems like after that.
When you have the team owner having to fly out to sit down and speak with a player, you're paying how much money a year to play baseball?
I think that's when the decision was made.
That is an awful sign.
I think that's when the decision was made, though.
Oh, I think definitely the situation.
And they probably just told Devers, listen, we're going to get you out of here. You don't want to be here. Just quiet down, play baseball, don't say a word. You're not finishing the season here.
Which, again, all well and good. I would have understood even if they did it during the season. But, like, can we shop this around a little longer and get a premium
the trade
package?
Deadline's still far out. We have some time here to work on something.
Like, the league average is like 220 right now. This dude hits almost 300 with power and driving in runs at a ridiculous rate. I mean, you cannot tell me there's going to be anything on the market that is going to be as good offensively as this individual player. And you traded him for a guy that, yes, he was the Giants' top prospect a year ago, but he was still pretty low on the MLB top 100. And it's an individual now who's had the same problem for 2 seasons, which is good fastball, but he can't develop a second pitch. Well, if you're going to be a starter, you need 3 pitches at least, too. Never mind just 2.
Wait, you don't have confidence the Red Sox are going to get this young pitching going?
Yeah, no, I have very little confidence in that. So, I don't know, Dan. Do you have more to say here?
I mean,
as the
honestly,
angry Boston
I'm going to
fan?
be honest. I'm surprised you guys didn't mention this as well. As it's gone on farther from the trade happening, I feel like Devers has done himself no favors either with a lot of the comments he has made.
He has not.
He talked about how he's like, Boston was great. I had put up a lot of numbers there. you won a championship with us. That's not the first thing you say. You were part of one of the greatest teams ever, and it's about your numbers. That was the most important thing. Now he's coming on saying, "Oh, I would have played first base if they had asked me." Like,
But in the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Right, but again,
which I also don't believe at all.
right.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, again, so a part of it to me is just you started pouting. It's spring training that you didn't want to move from third base.
Oh,
And then it was just, I get it, but it still didn't feel right. And again, I wonder if someone's like talking into his ear, giving him bad advice. What is going on? Because it's with Devers, when he started off with the Sox, there were so many things fundamentally wrong with this guy as a player. Couldn't play defense. He swung hard at everything. Strike twos, he was not shortening up his swings. And he developed so much, so fast. Every year, he was getting better and better and better. And I don't know if it's the new contract got into his head, if he's surrounded himself with people who maybe aren't the best at giving advice. But it does seem very odd that you would give up. Now, he landed in San Francisco. I know the ballpark's not great for hitters, but anyone expect not to be shocked if he's getting MVP votes by the end of the year for the Giants, considering how bad their offense is?
I wouldn't be overly shocked. No.
Yeah. So, again, I don't get, from his perspective, why you would want to leave a place like Boston where you're already beloved, you have all this history here, and it's all over because you really wanted to keep playing third base, which you knew you weren't great at anyways.
Well, the souring of the relationship had actually started earlier. The souring of the relationship had started when they lowballed Xander Bogaerts, and eventually Xander left. That's really where it started, and after that, it sort of everything kind of ballooned on top of it.
With Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
And be like,
if this
what are
guy,
we doing here,
if
guys?
this guy can't get an extension with you guys, who is going to get a real extension?
Well,
he got the extension, but it was still...
Even with that extension, though, not that, players are, running to the media when it's time to get their big contract, causing problems, but, Devers seemed very whatever about it. I get it done or I don't. I'd love the money, but, I'm going to get that money no matter what. Who cares if it's here or not? He has not had a pass. Remember when he came up?
Yeah.
Smiled about everything.
Yeah,
I haven't seen him smile in years.
The 19-year-old with pimples all over the face.
Yeah. Literally, you couldn't wipe the smile off his face.
Yeah. No, the relationship had soured, and I understand that it was probably time to move on. And listen, if you had shopped it around better and gotten a better package in return during the season, I wouldn't be as annoyed. But to me, it seems like from all fronts, it became an emotional decision on every end. From Raffey to then also it seemed like Breslow was just PO'd and was like, I'm not going to shop around. The Giants are the most interested right now. I'm going to ship him out of here as fast as possible.
Well, yeah, we found a team. How many teams are really going to be able to absorb that contract anyways? You found a team that can is able to do
you're in
it.
the top 5 in revenue, son. Come on.
No, but what I mean is
we can eat some of the contract to get a great package back in return. The money thing is the other thing. First off, it seemed like an emotional thing, and the second part of it is, why the hell was this a money decision?
Well, you heard that there was allegedly another deal in place with a better return, but they had to eat some money. So,
Exactly.
So Henry said no.
Well,
Exactly.
that's what I mean. How much of this is Henry's doing? Is Breslow just the kind of a guy who's might be stuck in the middle of it?
Well, the report is, one of the several, is Henry's been kind of hands off recently. Like when Bloom came in, he's like, well, that guy's just a savant. He'll know what to do. I don't really have to be that hands on. And then, Bloom was deer in the headlights the entire time. So then he has Breslow thinking okay, I can maybe kind of do the same thing. But then I think with this Devers stuff, he became hands-on again, but in such a big way. They're like, this is bad press. Get him out, get him out, get him out. John Henry cannot stand bad press.
Which is also part of why Ed Devers probably got his contract, too. Let's be honest about
probably.
Yeah.
Because of Mookie and Bogaerts.
And the disappointing season that they had, and Fenway was starting to show signs of people not showing up.
Well, everyone just said
Nesson ratings.
He's not getting that
Nesson
contract
ratings
here.
went way down. That was the bigger one, actually, because we've talked about the visitors will flock to Fenway.
Yeah.
But the Nesson ratings had dropped.
And it doesn't help that team from the Bronx there's been doing all right the last few years, too.
Not the last few weeks, though.
Yeah, that's going to be the second segment once we're done with this. But to me, the biggest issue is it feels like, one, it was an emotional decision, and two, it became a financial decision, which if you're top 5 in revenue, financials should not be the top of your decision-making. Unless you are the highest payroll in baseball and it's time to finally cut ties a little bit, but they're not. They're not even close, despite the fact that they have the revenue that they could be. So that's my issues with this. And Craig seemed like he made an emotional decision. And I'm wondering if Breslow's a little over his head, too. Listen, the Crochet one's been good. The Alex one has been good. Why was Quinn Priester traded away? Actually, for nothing?
Chapman's been great.
Chapman has been great. Why was Quinn Priester traded away for nothing? And now we have this one. So, right now, 5 moves. He is 3 of 5, but I feel like he's whiffed on the last 2. And this is an individual with not a ton of experience who didn't have a ton of job offers before.
I mean, I'm not
just like Bloom.
We have a lot of pitchers here right now, a lot of options. Mm-hmm. Crochet, Bello just had maybe the most gutsy, best outing of his career to this point against that Yankees team. Mm-hmm. I know they're offensively struggling right now, but still, that feels great.
Yeah,
to see. I love Hunter Dobbins. He's been fantastic, actually. Mm-hmm. That's 3. Mm-hmm. Giolito has been inconsistent, but when he's on, he's actually damn good. Mm-hmm. Do we think Houck's going to come back and be terrible again? I'm okay if he stays in the bullpen and he's not actually the 5th, but that's an all-star option, actually.
Listen, I know they have options.
I mean, they
they
have plenty of depth. I mean, I don't know if it's always the best depth, but
yes,
when it comes to August and stuff, you're going to need that depth to just eat innings.
Sure, yeah. But, that was one of the biggest problems with this team start the year. And they couldn't eat innings. No one can get through the 5th. Mm-hmm. They're getting into the 6th and 7th now, taking a lot of pressure off the bullpen and 4 straight series victories. Mm-hmm. I understand, we're winning these games kind of 2-1 right now, 3-2, 4-2. That's still a little ooh, Devers could have really made a lot of these wins or a couple of these wins more comfortable. He's actually here for most of them.
Again, maybe it's just, the hope Yoshida comes back, Bregman comes back. They give the offense a little bit more of that
Bregman
spark.
will definitely help a lot.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I actually think sending Campbell down will help.
I do, too.
He is a liability for this team right now.
He should have gone down weeks ago.
I thought he should go gone down when Anthony came up. Mm-hmm. They should have just done the switch. And now Anthony is looking terrible at the MLB level, but that's okay. He's got to learn some things.
He also doesn't have as many at-bats as Kristen has had at this point.
He's 21.
So,
this is also part of this seemingly divide between Alex Cora and his guys and the front office and their guys. Did you also see that report of because Anthony made that terrible error his first game, that they then trotted him out in front of the media to do drills, and usually they would do that behind closed doors. But they wanted to do that to show, these kids are hitting the MLB with 0 fundamentals. How is that possible?
I mean, I feel like that's just a league-wide thing, though, that happens.
Oh, gosh,
It's just kids get brought up so quickly. I mean, AAA is essentially a second major league roster now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just
who's making the errors we're making, though?
I know, but I'm just saying, the way the way the draft is now, there's so much more hype to the baseball draft where you get these first-round picks, and people all expect them to be like Bryce Harper, where they're going to be in the big leagues in 6 months or a year, and not realizing that you have to spend a couple of years on that bus, traveling from city to city across the country, learning how to do things, sitting with those major leaguers who have been, maybe they're not all-stars, but they've been through it. Maybe they're coming through an injury. You sit down, you just talk to them and gain so much valuable experience about traveling even, or just the lifestyle of baseball that, it's kind of easy for us, I feel like, to sit here and say oh, you should be playing baseball. Well, if suddenly you're traveling, to 6 different cities in the span of 2 weeks, your whole life has been uprooted. There's no way to really prepare for that except by being in the minor leagues and doing it when it's just, hey, your only job is to play and focus on your craft. You don't have to worry about anything else.
But they should be learning that in the minors.
Right,
Yeah, I know, but
but
they
that's
rush
what I
him.
mean,
But we
that-
rush him through it now.
Yeah.
Is what he's saying.
But other teams seem to be doing it a lot better and a lot smoother.
I mean,
Okay, so
the Red
I would
Sox.
say that a lot of the time it is the more
Like, I get they're younger nowadays.
it is the
but-
more analytic driven teams that are having this problem because all they care about is the offensive stats and they don't care about all the little things.
That's the other thing.
Do you know who fundamentally plays baseball absolutely sensational right now, and that's one of the reasons why they win a lot of close games and they have the best record in the American League?
Oh, God.
The Tigers. They run the bases. They have. Listen, I'm just telling you how it is. They play great defense. Their base running is absolutely exceptional. They've led the league, and it's by a wide margin in being able to take the extra base on the base paths. And base running is an art that I swear to God has died in the last 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
I see more kids doing stupid things on the base paths. Sadon Rafaela, by the way, is a absolute culprit of this in one of the worst ways. He will do some dumb things on the base
the
paths.
Red Sox team are. And it's
Yeah.
been that for a while.
And by the way, what did
actually.
the Dodgers do in the World Series against the Yankees? Just beat them over the head with the fundamentals. We'll take the extra base. We'll force you to make plays in the field because we know that all you cared about was what's his launch angle? How many home runs does he hit? Like, well, you can't field.
We'll hit the cutoff man from the outfield.
Yeah, well, you don't do that.
And let the guy on first take second when that run was already going to score anyways.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what the Red Sox front office has been obsessed with the last couple of years. Just analytics,
I know.
computers, nerds.
Bloom from Rays.
Yeah.
From
Well, I
the
mean,
Rays.
Breslo's the exact same way.
I know he is.
And that's why, like, all these veterans who have been in the organization for like decades, I've been like, we used to work, everything used to work how we used to do things, and now we've like doubled our staff here, all of which are just computer nerds punching numbers into a computer.
And we lead the league in errors again. And we can't win one-run games.
Yeah, and we can't.
I wonder why.
We're competing for nothing anymore. We're the most mid team ever.
In a division that's become very good too.
Yeah. So, I think that's the time now. Let's transition to the New York Yankees, who have been fading fast over the last 2 weeks, week and a half maybe.
Love it.
They went at one point 32 innings, I believe, without scoring a run. I think is what it finally reached to. They lost again last night to the Orioles. I believe
the Orioles are hot, by the way.
I was disappointed actually in a way that I didn't get to do the show last week because I was going to put in futures bets, bet the over on the Orioles win, and put a little money on the Rays or the Jays for this division. Both of those numbers are gone.
Yeah.
The Jays and the Rays are probably down to probably +3, +4, +500 range, whereas they were like +1,200. But the Yankees are fading a bit. Now, I think they will right the ship pretty quickly. I think this was sort of a natural regression because I thought they were playing way over their heads before. I never looked at this team as a juggernaut. I thought they had a lot of holes. When Cole went down, I was like, okay, Fried at the top. Rodon showed good stuff last year. After that, I don't know how I feel about everything else. So I think they're still in the running here, but I think the true race for the AL East has started now because the national regression came. I think the Rays and the Jays are going to be right there with them. I didn't believe in the Jays to the start of the year. I'm a complete believer in them now. I think you could make the argument they're the third or fourth best team in the American League. But what do we feel right now about the Yankees situation, and how long is this going to last?
I mean, I felt like it was the same story to this point in the year. It is Aaron Judge
Yeah.
dragging them along because, Volpe had a great opening weekend. I haven't seen a single highlight from him since.
No.
Jazz Chisholm's the exact same thing. All right, Goldschmidt's hits. But he gets on base.
Well, they might have to
he
start
doesn't have the
moving
power.
him down in the lineup again because no one else is driving in runs, but they have him hitting first.
Well, I was going to say
He gets on base.
I was going to say quickly with Goldie, I have some stats here. He's hitting almost 300, and his OPS is I think 820. Really good numbers, but he only has 8 home runs and 32 RBIs, which is 100th in the league. Which is again, he's getting on base, but it's not productive.
Well, they're batting
he's
him
getting on base.
leadoff.
Right, but yeah, but usually Goldie usually had a little more power than that, and I
did.
could get a little more, but it's just Yeah,
I think he has had to sacrifice power for maintaining bat speed and being able to catch up to the ball.
But I'm just surprised with that short porch though that it hasn't been more for him.
I know. I get what you mean. Though the power numbers have surged, I feel like, over the last 2 weeks.
Well, I mean,
He's
it's
hit a
getting
couple.
warmer. And
Yeah.
But I mean, 8 home runs.
I know.
mean, that's
I know.
almost the end of June for him.
Well, you know what? Is that the worst thing for that offense, though? Because everybody
some
else
guy just hits instead of power.
Yeah,
No.
because through this little skid, it seems like Goldschmidt's the only one who's hit even a little bit,
Right.
where Judge has not. Chaz Chisholm has not at all. So I don't know, but
Well, the Red Sox showed in those 2 weekends. You take Judge away, you kind of take the Yankees' offense away.
I mean, I feel like that's been the story for 2 to 3 years. I don't understand why anybody pitches to Judge as much as they even do.
Well,
It's
last year
crazy.
they had Soto at least.
I
He
know they
was-
did have Soto last year. That's true.
I mean, but also like Judge was batting what 390
Yes.
this year.
Yeah. Like that's not.
Get out of town.
Yeah, you can't maintain that.
He's especially for a guy that strikes out as much as he does, which we saw a lot as Red Sox fans.
I know you don't love the stat, but his OPS was like 1.2 or something ridiculous. Like, I mean,
Really?
he's not going to maintain that through the year, but that is
Yeah.
just insane.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things why I would say, I'm more of the everything will calm down, the Yankees will maintain. They probably still win the division, but it will be close. But that is one thing that maybe this slide will continue.
Well,
maybe they won't win the division because maybe they really are just that reliant on Judge than in that much else.
It'll level out, and they'll just be kind of a more average team of what they should be, and not a league-leading team. And they're kind of
Yeah, who's going to run away with the division by
I mean,
8, 9, 10 games?
They have been decimated by injuries, though. I mean, who is it? Cousins, it has to have Tommy John now. Stroman just made his first rehab start. Gil
that's
is
bad for the Yankees.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like Stroman coming back is actually a net negative.
Again,
but
it's something. It's
I
depth.
get it.
Even
I
if
know,
you move him to the bullpen,
he's had
even
great stints.
But Gil, who knows what it's going to be when he's just started throwing to live batters. Like
Yeah.
they are a walking wounded team. They just lost the third baseman Cabrera. I know he wasn't a huge part of the offense, as we keep saying it's Judge. But I mean, again, you just lost your starting third baseman. That's a spot you have to fill now with what? A bench player?
yeah, they don't have any depth at all, at all.
Well, I mean, Stanton just came back. Loizaga just came back. Devin Williams is not terrible anymore.
No,
So I mean,
he's leveled out.
they'll be. I mean, realistically, I think they're kind of really just a wild card team. But the division had such a bad start, and maybe that lead will be enough. Because I mean, the Rays have been great recently, but I'm not crazy hype on them either. Like, I kind of just think, once again, the American League kind of sucks.
It does. I agree with that. We talked about that either last week or 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it's not nearly as good. We know that for a fact. I think they've slid behind the Rays a little bit because the Rays got really hot. I'm a believer in the Jays. I really am. Alejandro Kirk has come back to form. They bring in this kid, Addison Barger, up, who looked like he was ready for the bigs right away. And Gossman has righted the ship. Now, obviously, he's not the all-star Cy Young caliber guy he used to be, but he has certainly fixed some problems from last year. And you throw him with Barrios as well. They have a third guy, too, and I'm not remembering who it is. Pretty consistent. I mean, again, they don't have anyone like a Max Fried, like a Crochet here.
There's nobody that
but
really
they have
scares you.
But they have 3 good guys at the top, and I think they have probably a more balanced offense than anybody else in the division. Vladdy's good. Bo Bichette has righted the ship as well. So I think they have a pretty lethal offense. The Clement kid has hit pretty well as too. So I mean, between Vladdy, Bo, this Barger kid, and Kirk, I think it's a pretty devastating offensive attack.
Chris Bassett.
Thank you. Bassett has been decent. I mean, these guys are high 3s, but if you have a bunch of them and you can hit, and the bullpen has been very good, then again, the American League's not that great. The Yankees have some problems, and I mean, I never know what I'm supposed to think of Tampa. I mean, they're just always going to be better than what you look at as the roster. And if Caminero has figured it out, that's a legitimate middle of the order big bat that they have to go with everything. And Rasmussen has good stuff. So,
Like I said, I mean, given that, it's funny we talk and say the American League's not that good. The American League East now has more teams above 500 than the other two divisions combined.
that doesn't shock me at all.
It's awful, but I mean, it's just a lot of teams that are good, but they're not like they're head and shoulders above everybody else.
Oh, they have major flaws.
I mean, even the Orioles, I think they're 8 games back of 500 now, but they won was it 8-2 in their last 10 or something crazy like that?
7-3. Calm down.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The Red Sox are 8-2.
Okay.
Well, that is second best in the last 10 in the division.
Right. Which is crazy when you
And
think
we know
about
Baltimore has talent.
that. Right. So I mean, again, it's just
Offensively.
Well, actually, Charlie Morton has fixed himself.
A little bit, yeah.
how old is that guy?
39, 40? He's old.
Yeah, he's old.
I mean, he was old when he was in Atlanta.
I know.
Yeah.
But I mean, listen, the Orioles aren't going to get back into it,
they
but they're a problem. They're a
far
pest.
back, but I
They're a
mean-
pest.
Well, they'll ruin someone else's time.
Right.
Yes.
They're a team you don't want to see on a weekend series in September.
Well, the Yankees are finding in September especially too, but because by September they'll get some of these starters back.
Right.
They'll probably get at least one of them back, which makes them significantly better than what they are, because they're basically trotting out a AAA starting rotation, other than the Japanese guy Sugano, which is why they're so bad. But you weren't a believer in the Jays to start the year. Neither was I. Has your opinion changed?
I mean, Vlad Guerrero's his power hasn't been there really this year.
Mm-hmm.
Jimenez has been terrible.
Yeah, he has not been good.
Gotten under 200 or whatever.
Yeah, he has not been good.
They've surprised me, but I'm not. I don't think they'll really make any noise.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So
Our division's kind of mid, so you're.
all right. I think as long as
they're not bad.
I think as long as they can stay healthy, they could win this division. I wouldn't be
The
shocked.
division, I don't know, man.
I mean,
I think we are better than the Blue Jays,
I
especially now that we are getting better.
I don't think our offense is comparable to the Jays.
It could be in a couple months.
The Sox have scored about 40 more runs than the Jays, right?
I'm sure they have.
Actually, we have
But
scored the second most runs in our division.
But I'm talking about.
But we've given up the second most runs.
But I'm talking about what the Jays are now, because they didn't start the year with
Right,
They didn't start the year with Barger in the lineup, and they didn't start the year.
I
don't think Kirk even had the starting catching job to start the season, because he had such a bad year the year before.
I don't know. I mean, the Jays are fine.
Yeah.
They're a good team. They're going to give you problems, but there's again, you rattled off the rotation and everything. There's nobody there that you're worried about, you're scared of. Again, in the lineup, Guerrero's a name, and he's good, but he's not.
He's producing, but he's not in the way you kind of need him to.
Everyone assumed by this point he was the next Miguel Cabrera or Pujols, and he hasn't been that. And he's, I don't want to say regressed from when he started, but he's
the only
definitely
similarity is he can't play first base.
Yeah.
Wait. Pujols won multiple Gold Gloves.
Oh, yeah, I was to Cabrera.
Okay.
To Cabrera, sorry.
Let's not besmirch the name of Albert Pujols.
I say that as
We
someone that
actually
loves
said-
Miguel Cabrera, though.
I know.
We actually mentioned that the other night too.
What?
Yeah, who's
Cabrera
who's
or Pujols?
Who's the more legendary for his era?
Oh,
Cabrera, Pujols.
I would say.
And he said Cabrera had the longevity, but Pujols reached the height that Miguel Cabrera.
Well, the
did.
problem is didn't Pujols technically start considerably earlier than Cabrera?
No, Cabrera was 19 when he was on the starting for the Marlins.
Yeah, but that was 2003.
Three.
Yeah,
Did Pujols start in 99?
I thought he was a 1.
Maybe it was at 1.
But he was also, it was never confirmed, but he probably lied about his age
That's true.
and was older than they thought he was.
Well, so was Miguel.
I don't know. Miguel really never had those rumors, and he never broke down the way
Oh, that's true.
Pujols did.
That's true. Fair point.
We're better than the Blue Jays. We're better.
I think we should be better. I'm not sure if we are now that Devers is gone.
Is great.
He is.
Even you know what?
The middle of our lineup, though, has Carlos Narvaez hitting fourth, bro. I'm sorry. We're not that good.
You trash Rafaela, but like, what's he been batting the past couple weeks?
Okay, listen, Sedani has turned it on offensively.
Yes.
I agree.
Because he doesn't have to play shortstop. He can just play his natural position.
I know.
He can just focus on hitting, and he is.
I'm just saying that to me, this is a tall.
I'm getting very excited about him.
There's a lot that you're saying right now, considering the fact that our middle of the lineup is Roman Anthony, who has all of 40 at bats, if even that, right now at the major league level. A Rule 5 guy that we got off the Yankees. Now, he's been damn good, but he was a Rule 5 guy. And then another kid who was just brought up in Marcelo Meyer. That's our middle of the lineup right now. Now, this conversation changes when Bregman comes back a bit. Well, that is true.
Well, I'm also saying, like...
But if we have to ride this out for another month or something,
In theory, the hitter Narvaez is today... will pale in comparison of the hitter Narvaez is tomorrow. Same with Meyer, Anthony, Campbell, Rafaela, Willier. Here's the thing. How many guys did I just list? Odds are at least half of those will probably progress in some way, shape, or form.
Yes, they will.
And then the ones that don't will get replaced by guys that are.
Yes.
Maybe Yvonne Grisham, if you can actually figure that out.
But we're talking about just this year right now.
Yeah,
and right now, the Jays are a better offensive team
by
than us.
September, they all should be better hitters.
Potentially. Potentially.
Well, some of them can't get any worse. Roman Anthony can't get any worse.
I know.
Because he just strikes out every at-bat.
I know. He had a nice RBI single last night.
Oh.
Went right back up the middle. That was a hard hit ball.
You know what? That's how Rafaela figured it out. Just a lot of hits.
Yeah, I know.
Just get comfortable at the plate. And now he's hitting bombs in Oracle Park.
Just learn to make contact.
All right. With that, we're going to take a short break before we get into some football talk. So stick with us, guys. And we are back here at Slo Ur Roll, moving on to some NFL talk. We'll start with something I talked about the last show, which is something I'm very interested in. I don't have an opinion yet on what's going to happen, which one's going to work, which one's not. Maybe they both work, or maybe they both fail. But the sort of in-division JJ McCarthy versus Caleb Williams, JJ and O'Connell, Caleb and Ben Johnson, thank you. You have experience with one side for the coach and none for the quarterback, and the opposite, although Caleb obviously only has 1 year of experience as a starting quarterback. But, I mean, there's got to be a tremendous amount of pressure on both of these individuals, and I have reasons to not believe in either of them, but probably one of them is going to work, and I don't have a decision yet on which one. But I find it problematic when you're going to play in an offensive division like JJ is going to play in. You were never asked to do a ton in college. You're coming off a knee injury. And like I said, the expectation is going to be to win. And you're going to have to throw the ball quite a bit. And I like Brian Flores as a DC, but they don't have the defensive personnel that they're going to hold everybody to below 20 points. You're going to have to score some points a lot. And, you have 2 wide receivers that you need to get the ball to. So I have major questions about JJ. It's not even worth mentioning my questions on Caleb. Like, he was awful last year. It's the Chicago Bears. Ben Johnson's never been a head coach. It's pretty obvious. But I'll start with you, Dan, on just how you look at both of these guys coming into the season. And if you do have sort of a prediction of which one you think is going to have a good year and which one would not.
So, I mean, I think for me, if I had to pick one to have a good year, it would probably be JJ McCarthy. The Vikings have a stable O-line. You mentioned, Jefferson, Addison, and don't forget the tight end. I forget his name off the top. Hawkinson. They have, and, Kevin O'Connell just made Sam Darnold how much money? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I lean towards him. You play in the Dome, I lean more towards that than I do with Caleb. I feel like a lot of the national media people have given Caleb such a pass when it came to last year.
Oh, I know.
Like, you had, yes, their offensive line fell apart and was atrocious. You did have Swift running the ball, although he didn't do much because of the offensive line. You had 3 pretty good receivers that you seem to struggle just to get the ball to all the time. Mm-hmm. And you're right, a rookie head coach coming in, I don't think usually the saying is, well, it's not his guy. How is it going to go? It was the number one pick, the former Heisman winner. Any coach would want to coach Caleb Williams.
Well, Ben Johnson also, let's be honest, he had plenty of offers. So if he picked this team, then Caleb's kind of his guy.
Right. That's like again, it's not. There's none of this like, oh, if Caleb's not good this year, is there a risk? No, Caleb's going to have his rookie contract to work through this.
Yes.
Just from the alone. So again, I do lean Minnesota and JJ McCarthy. I didn't love McCarthy coming out of the draft. I thought he was a huge product of Michigan and Jim Harbaugh and just the NFL roster that was around him. He wasn't asked to do a lot. It was not even a passing offense.
No.
It was very much a heavy run offense.
Bro, they played Penn State and didn't throw the ball a single time in the second half.
Yeah, right. Like, again, to me, it's just, I don't love J.J. McCarthy, but I love his situation more. And sometimes, to me, that is much more important than the actual talent or what the quarterback is.
Jesse, before I have you go, I quickly, as you said, the media giving him a pass for last year. The analogy, not analogy, but the example I have used is everything around him was a disaster. But when I turn on the television and you're skipping a 5-yard out route 3 yards into the ground, like, come on, these are layups, bro. Like that's not the coaching staff's fault.
As someone who had Swift on his fantasy team last year, it was maddening when Swift is open and 6 yards down the field for a quick out, and he's holding the ball and chucks it out of bounds. And I'm like, well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You make it easier on yourself.
My favorite was like DJ Moore, just kind of like mid-play, watching his turning around to like maybe expect the ball coming and just watching Caleb running in circles and just and sometimes even just wander off the field. I'm going to the sideline.
I saw that a few times.
Drives over.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think. I mean, there is pressure. There's not pressure on every quarterback. I can't actually see a lot of pressure on JJ McCarthy right now because of a lot of what Dan just said. His offense he's got an offense. He doesn't have to worry about any of that. He's got some of the best weapons in the game as wide receivers, tight ends, and running back, I believe. They brought Aaron Jones back, I believe. The line. His coach is very much established as one of the great offensive minds in the league. And he's coming off an injury. They'll give at least somewhat leeway. You're like, okay, he missed his entire first year. He's a little behind. So he'll get at least a leash to mess around a little bit and get the kinks out. But
they are expected to make the playoffs.
Well, sure. He's inheriting a team that won
12 games,
12 regular season games.
Yeah.
Last year.
It was in it for the number one seed in the last week of the year.
And he is he was the pick that you're supposed to be the future of this team. There is that pressure that comes with that, but wasn't nearly the hyped prospect that Caleb was. Even Jaden Daniels or Drake May was.
Right.
So that's a lot less pressure. Again, he has a lot of his work a lot of that stuff is just Aaron Jones, Hawkinson, Addison, the other one, Jetta.
It's almost just like
That's the lovely thing about being in a downtown
like
studio.
fire.
I know.
That's almost like what all they need him to do is be a point guard. Just get the ball out of your hands to one of your playmakers. That's all we need you to do.
Yeah,
Which he can do, by the way.
I know you said coming from Michigan, like that made him, maybe a little more hyped than he should have been. But that also that's on the flip side. I mean, he worked with a coach that was established in the NFL, one of the great minds just across our sport, and being a Harbaugh. So he's been coached well for a while, and so coming into the league, he should at least understand a lot more than maybe your average guy coming into his first official season, I guess you could say, taking over the reins as a quarterback.
And I think also, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I think
No, that was it.
I think also I wonder with him, I know rookies have been doing much better now starting their first year, but I still do think that having that 1 year to sit and watch, because he went to Michigan, he played in the Big Ten, which is one of the best conferences in football, you're still playing a lot of crap teams like Maryland and that. So to be able to sit and watch and learn from a guy like a Sam Darnold who's been around the league, has learned so many different offenses, can only help. And I'm not worried, honestly, about the knee injury because McCarthy wasn't – he could move, but he wasn't a big mobile guy.
No.
And so, like, it happened so early that by the time this season comes rolling around, I don't see it being an issue at all either.
Mm-hmm. No, I get you. But it's just – they're expected to win a lot. They're expected to put up points. They're going to have to in that division, and it's just an individual who was never asked to really carry the weight of the offense. So I have my concerns.
But did they ask Sam Darnold to carry the weight of the offense?
They threw the ball a lot. I mean, what did he throw, 30-plus touchdowns?
I don't know.
He threw a lot of touchdown passes.
But like
they put a lot on Sam's plate. I'm not saying they don't run the ball, because of course they do. But
they ran it enough and efficiently enough to be able to throw it that much without getting into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I never felt it was Sam Darnold, though, taking over games. Most of it was like, well, look at Jefferson make another great catch and run.
Somehow
I'm not
got
saying
behind him
Sam,
50 again.
Look at him get wide open downfield somehow.
I'm not saying Sam's amazing, but like they relied on them to put up points, and they did a lot of it throwing. Now, most of the time when I watched it, oh my gosh, Kevin O'Connell has coached them great all week. The game plan is absolutely great. I mean, especially the first half of the year, they were blowing teams out, and they were getting off to early leads and to be able to just sit on it from there. So, like,
well, the defense,
is JJ going to be able to do that kind of stuff like that? Like,
the one other thing with JJ, you kind of brought this up a little bit, was the defense. While it wasn't an elite unit, it was elite at getting turnovers. Mm-hmm. And we've seen year to year that's not always the case. That doesn't always happen with defenses. Yeah. So McCarthy may be facing more. Hey, our drive starting at the 25, at the 35, rather than hey, we're already on their side of the field or midfield already as well.
Yeah.
But one last thing I want to bring up with Caleb. This is more of a personal thing that always frustrates me, was when you listen to the national media and they talk about the first-year quarterbacks, he got such a pass.
I know.
And they were comparing him to Drake May, and they're like, well, Drake May, he wasn't as good as Caleb, blah, blah. I'm like, Drake May made better plays. He made some great throws. Caleb Williams was a deer in headlights at some point who didn't know what he was supposed to do.
Yeah, no, Caleb has been given a complete pass by the media. We're and again, in total alignment on this one.
He had some weapons to throw to. He really did.
Oh yeah, you cannot tell me that at least on a personnel only basis that he did not walk in with a significantly better personnel than Drake May. I would argue he walked in with better personnel than Jaden Daniels to an extent. Jaden had one wide receiver. He was throwing to Zacharias as the other one. Zach Ertz is like 36 years old. So, now the O-line, Jaden's is probably better, particularly with the way the Bears got banged up as the year went on, too. But I also thought the O-line stuff was overblown because Caleb would hold on to the ball so long. Like, I do think it was partly on Caleb as well.
Right.
A little bit, yeah.
So, but he definitely walked into the league with better personnel than Drake May did. And that's not even debatable.
It kind of snowballed. He wasn't helping himself by holding the ball, but I assume a lot of he's going up to the line, getting ready to hike it. Yeah, already panicking.
Yes. Yeah, no, I agree. All right. So from one rookie quarterback, well, last year rookie, to one that has not played yet but is a rookie. So Shedeur Sanders
also can do no wrong.
Was cited for going about 100 miles an hour. I believe this is the second speeding ticket though that he has gotten recently. The other one was before the draft. Now, I will say this though, as someone who is driving a new car right now, new cars do haul ass. Like I grew up with cars that once you hit 70 and 80, the whole thing would like rattle, like you knew, and older people have this too. Like the cars, you knew when you were going 80. It is a lot easier to not realize how fast you were going in some of these. If this was Shedeur's only thing, I wouldn't actually be that concerned. The problem is now I have the legendary draft room thing was pretty cringe and ridiculous. The watch thing when you were in college, flipping out the watch and blah, blah, blah. Bro, your team's like 3-7. Let's calm down. Getting into a online beef with an ex-teammate from Colorado. And just in general, the stories I was hearing about him at meetings and the fact that you fell very far in the draft. So I have 3 or 4 things now to compound with the speeding ticket that makes me very much question if this guy is mature enough and has the judgment to be a starting quarterback. And also, and again, in defense of Shedeur, whether he had these question marks or not, I'd probably bet against him either way because it's Cleveland. Like, you know, we've seen Baker have a lot of success after he left the Browns. Like, it's hard to be successful here.
Deshaun Watson forgot how to play quarterback as soon as he got to Cleveland.
Yeah, Jimmy Haslam, you know, wanted Shedeur and the coaching staff didn't. Like, this is just classic Cleveland dysfunction. So even if he didn't have these problems, I probably would be betting against him as a player simply because of where he ended up. But with the speeding ticket, because it compounds with 3 or 4 other examples or stories I have heard about questioning his maturity and judgment, I'm very out on him as a quarterback. I mean, again, unless you are Kyler Murray athletic with the skill set, like maturity and judgment is more part of the position sometimes than even the skill sets. So very out on this.
He was also the 2nd quarterback drafted by Cleveland in that draft.
Yes, they overdrafted Dillon because the staff didn't want Shedeur, so they were trying to shut Haslam up. But unfortunately, then Shedeur continued to fall, and then Jimmy was like, well, you have to draft him now.
Well, then they also have Watson and Flacco.
Yes.
That they brought.
Yep. It is the most bizarre quarterback.
Well, Flacco's going to start. Flacco will be the starter. When Shedeur takes over, I'm not sure.
Wow.
He will. He's better than Dylan Gabriel.
Oh.
Stop it. I never watched Dylan Gabriel in college and ever thought he was ever going to be an NFL quarterback. The fact that he was taken in the 3rd round shocked me.
Well, it shows you how bad the quarterback class was this
Yes.
draft too. I mean, I was much higher on Shedeur coming out of college than you were.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we did watch quite a bit of Colorado football.
Oh, yeah, I did.
I mean, he looked, you know, there wasn't anything that screamed off the film. Like, the arm wasn't great, the mobility wasn't great, but he did know how to play the position. And it was, you know, he did have Travis Hunter, but the offensive line usually was an issue for him as well.
Yeah, I agree.
And he's had, you know, we can say Dion maybe not is the best coach. Maybe he's more of a personnel hype type guy. But he did get a lot of great coaching as a kid and coming up. His dad did make sure he had a ton of NFL coordinators constantly coaching him. So he did get a lot. And I mean, now that all this stuff's happening with him, it's like, I'm kind of like going, all right, you know, maybe he wasn't as great as I thought. Maybe Cam Ward was the better pick. Mm-hmm. I still don't like Cam Ward either.
I don't love him either.
But again, it's and I was kind of like, okay, maybe it's one of those things where he's drafted so low, he's going to come in ready, hype, ready to work.
Hungry.
Yes. And that's not been the case at all.
Well, I mean, from all reports, he's played very well during the practices and all the workouts. But, I mean, the fact that you just said, like I said, nothing about the athlete jumped off the screen, well, then that means that I should care about your intangibles even more.
Exactly.
And if you're getting speeding tickets going 100 miles an hour, that's a problem.
Yeah, so that new car excuse really only works is like, oops, I'm going 50 in a 35. Like, nowhere should you mistakenly go 100. Even on the highway, like the fastest like highways in America are like 75.
Yeah, it's
And,
about.
like,
I've seen an 80, and there's no way.
Especially
And that was in North Dakota.
Especially when you're 21, 22, and you've been driving these newer cars for your entire life.
Stick out like a sore thumb. I bet it's got a bright color on it too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's probably
I'm just trying to be fair.
Flashes.
I'm just trying to be fair. It is easier to speed these days in these new cars.
Not like that.
That haul ass. And going 100 meant a lot more 20 years ago than it probably does for people right now.
I mean, at least it was just a speeding ticket, and it was like,
it wasn't drunk driving.
Yeah, it wasn't drunk driving. We didn't find weed in the car. He wasn't high.
It wasn't John Morant flashing a gun.
Exactly. I mean, it's like.
Well, that's why I'm trying to not make a huge deal about it. My thing is, though, if this was the only thing, then I wouldn't care.
There was those
but the problem is, this is the third or fourth thing.
Well, he's not like some of these devil children.
No.
That get drunk driving and kill a woman and her dog.
Was his name Ruggs?
Henry
Oakland
Ruggs.
receiver?
He wasn't a quarterback though, so that's the
But he was the first round pick. Like,
He's a
he was
nepo
still-
baby, and he's got all the problems that come with a nepo baby. He grew up rich. He doesn't really know what true hard work is, and he doesn't get real consequences. Hence, he drives probably 100 miles an hour, and I'm sure that's not even close to 100-mile-an-hour area.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's not like this is like Stephon Diggs video or something like that where questionable things happening going on.
But again, in some ways though, like
But you are right.
I would care more about Shador's speeding ticket than my wide receiver potentially doing some drugs on a boat. I do.
Yeah.
Because he's a quarterback. The only reason I say cut Stephon Diggs is because he's over 30 years old and he wasn't even that great, and he has a long history of. But like, if that was Justin Jefferson and we had him on a boat doing coke, I would just be like, go off, JJ. I don't care.
It's okay. Do you need some
I mean,
money
it's
for
not
that?
okay,
We'll pay
but
for
I mean, like,
Justin.
can you please pass your drug test so you're not suspended for half the season? But like, Jefferson, you're just having a good time.
I mean, it's really actually one of those things where, like, the league, it's a league-wide thing. It's just, Diggs is an idiot. He got caught.
Yes. He also did it when he's on his third team in 3 years and he's never played here and he has no equity with the building.
You're right.
Yeah,
Coming off a major injury.
Yeah,
like
that's the other thought with the Stephon thing.
it's rehab. That's all I was doing was some rehab.
Yes, I'm sure.
Oh, that 1850s rehab of I gotta use cocaine to get the ghosts out of my blood.
But how much? I mean, like how much?
Allegedly cocaine.
To me, like I said before, I mean, I've said it before on the show. Everything is something. Nothing is everything. Like, but it's. I have a fourth potential thing to throw on top of why I don't think Shador is potentially a leader, mature enough to be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, getting speeding tickets. That's a skill player thing. I don't know. Quarterbacks don't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't even think of like a quarterback doing something like that.
Yeah, quarterbacks don't usually get speeding tickets. Quarterbacks aren't usually getting caught doing cocaine on a boat. That's
even like what's the worst thing actually Aaron Rodgers ever did, other than just be an a-hole?
Nothing. He really hasn't
Exactly.
done anything.
He took ayahuasca. Or he was very upfront about that.
yes.
Yeah. He was promoting it.
Big Ben had some skeletons.
That's a different era.
But he is an outlier. No, it's not even a different era. He is an outlier. He also was 6'6" with a rocket arm and could run.
In a place like Pittsburgh that was just absolutely worshipped him.
Also, Pittsburgh, which was a rock solid, stable organization.
Right.
At the time. They've gotten a little old now, but
they're not dysfunctional.
no. They do like dysfunctional wide receivers. But the organization is not dysfunctional.
Yeah. Well, those dysfunctional wide receivers are very talented. I don't know what it is. Like, when they don't care about their mental health, and they can just focus on the football,
Watch out.
it works out for them on the field,
Yes, on the field.
not in life. Did you hear about? It's not really, but AB has a warrant for arrest for attempted murder.
I saw that, yes.
Wow.
Wait, which AB?
Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't check up on the story for anything else. I don't know.
But I just saw that he apparently has a warrant.
Yes. Has he actually been arrested yet?
I don't think anyone knows where he is.
That's pretty hilarious.
I assume he's out of the country.
I don't know where he is.
You would assume intelligence by him, too.
I would what?
Assumes he has some intelligence, too. He hasn't displayed any type of...
Yeah, I don't know. Can't assume that.
Maybe
one.
he's in Canada.
Maybe.
I feel like Canada wouldn't extradite anyone to the U.S. right now.
He's not. He's not in Dubai.
He's definitely not in Dubai.
So he would have got arrested the second he landed in Dubai.
Yeah. Dubai doesn't put up with that.
Yeah.
Did he get in trouble in Dubai, actually?
Well, wasn't he a couple years ago in the pool?
Yeah. That was in Dubai, wasn't it? Okay, that's what I thought. Then he had to get out.
Yeah.
Because he would have been...
of the pool.
No, he had to get out of Dubai.
We don't tolerate that behavior in the pool.
We don't tolerate that behavior anywhere in Dubai.
That's not true.
They don't mess around with their laws there.
It depends. It really depends.
No, it doesn't.
How hot is the girl in
No.
Dubai? If she's a 10 out of 10, there are no rules.
There are still rules in public.
Okay, in public. In private, there are no rules in Dubai. If you're rich enough.
Yes.
And male.
Yes. Obviously male. That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
That could have
And
come.
it's wrong that it's that way, of course.
That could have come across as racist.
Well, that's the thing.
We usually try and steer away from that on this
It's
show.
wrong. It's Dubai's problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you need to be accepting of other cultures, Jesse. And if they choose to run their society that way,
They need to be accepting of AB and his culture.
that is different. He is not a country. He is one man. Anyway.
This topic has gone off the rails.
Oh, it's gone way off the rails. How much do we care about the Shador speeding ticket?
I mean, it was funny. It's more of just like, more of the same. That's what I expect from him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even a huge offense. It was a speeding ticket. He's a rich person. I'm sure his car goes very fast, and he does this a lot.
And he's young.
And anyone in his position has done before him.
Mm-hmm.
Except Tom Brady.
But you're a quarterback. You're judged differently, bro.
Sure, that's true.
And you should be judged differently.
You are also the son of a NFL royalty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have a microscope on you at all times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got to be aware of that, kid.
Yes. And now that you are 20-something years old, you've played all through college, and you've been drafted in the NFL, I would figure by now that you had figured out that there is a microscope on you at all times, and you should probably act accordingly. But
I mean, if he was a normal, what was he, a 7th-round pick or 6th-round pick?
Fifth.
I think he was fifth.
End of fifth.
Was it 5th?
yeah, I think it was end of fifth.
I mean, if you're normally in that position, even if you're a quarterback, and you start getting this stuff, usually they won't put up with it if you're that low of a pick.
I know,
he's
right?
Getting,
Yeah.
He might be treading on some thin ice there.
You know, maybe one speeding ticket is like, well, they'll just sit him down.
Like,
Like, all right,
okay,
you do that again.
you just got your, like, you just got drafted. Everything's great, but okay, kid, like, come on, we do need you to.
Yeah.
You're, even though they're not huge red flags, there's still marks on your record that are.
Yes, exactly. All right, Jesse, talk to us about the Stanley Cup here before we go to our second break.
That was a great Stanley Cup.
I thought you were going to say it was a great transition.
No.
I was like, it was pretty upfront.
It was okay. It was fine.
It's hard to transition from it's easy to MLB to MLB, NFL to NFL though. When you're
guess.
changing,
I
can't, you can't get cute here.
Yeah.
You got to just
We're stepping
say
on the
what it
ice
was.
here. It's a little slippery. Yeah. But, I mean, that was, an outstanding playoffs, I think, through and through for the most part. And actually, despite all of that drama, everything that happened, every single narrative stayed the exact same. Ovi and the Capitals can't, they don't win in the playoffs. Hurricanes can't win conference finals games. Leafs in game sevens.
That was
Great.
That was great.
The Jets are only built for the regular season. The Wild cannot win a playoff round. Jim Montgomery is a liability in the playoffs. Everyone hates Vegas. The Kings only exist to eat the Oilers' shit. What else? Dallas only exists to be the second best team in the Western Conference. Hockey lives in Florida, and Canada can't win a cup. But congrats on your Four Nations, your All-Star Game victory. We'll see you at the Olympics. But the Edmonton Oilers, first team to lose back-to-back cups since the Boston Bruins did it in the 70s. Despite this going 6 games, I thought Edmonton looked totally outmatched in almost every form.
I thought they did too.
Yeah.
I think the Panthers were better than them for all of 2.5 periods.
You mean Edmonton was better than?
I mean, the Panthers were better than Edmonton for all of but
The
2.5
whole time
periods.
except 2.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll at least give the
Bro,
Oilers,
even the OT game they lost, that Florida was better than
Yes.
them the entire overtime.
Yes.
It was not close.
I'll at least give Edmonton game 1.
Okay.
The majority, I think they were the better for the majority of game 1. But that's kind of actually Florida's MO. They lose game 1 a lot. Both times they beat the Bruins, they lost game 1. Lost game 1 to Toronto. Lost game 2 to Toronto. Let up the first 2 goals against Toronto in game 3. They don't get bothered by being down in a series. They really don't. But yeah, I mean, the only 2 wins for the Oilers came both in overtime, both by Leon Draisaitl, which were actually Leon's only time he was really mentioned in the entire finals. He was a ghost otherwise. Connor McDavid had 1 goal. That's the best player in the world, and he was totally smothered. I mean, he had a couple little highlights here and there, but they were all game 1 and game 2. Once they figured out Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, their offense dried up, like the Yankees and Aaron Judge. Take out 1 man, 2 men, and then that's kind of it. Their lethal power play that allowed him to coast by the Kings, Vegas, and Dallas. Shut it right down. None of that. Stuart Skinner. Oh, he was amazing against Dallas, right? I mean, the problem is when a mid goalie comes down from his high, oh boy, do they come crashing down. And he will look terrible in that final, especially in the final game. What was it, the third goal? Puck goes right off his chest. He just casually bumps it to a streaking Barkov who's all by himself. Like, just terribly done on Edmonton's part. And I thought Edmonton was going to win. Coming into the series, I was like, wow, Edmonton just doesn't matter what happens to them. They come back in every game. They can score at will. They're just too fast. And, despite Florida being such a perfectly bad team, they've been here three straight years. They got to get tired, right? They won't be able to keep up with this speed. Just absolutely pathetic showing from Edmonton.
I feel like, personally, speed is so overrated when it comes to the playoffs because you get, and I think you see this in baseball and basketball as well, I believe, in the playoffs. When the regular season happens, you don't get to sit there and watch film or tape or scouting of these teams nearly as much. But when you have a week and a half, even 2 weeks to just focus on one group of players to game plan, to your point with Connor McDavid there, yeah, he was good in the first 2 games, but then it's like, okay, this is what they like to do. This is what we can do to counter it. Okay, you know what? Now we're home. We get the last change as well. They're going to bring them out. We're going to put out our 2 best defensive players to block, to cover them. And you see that, the Bruins used to do that great, especially against the Penguins. And
when they were bigger.
Right. And it was just like, I feel like when the playoffs happen for some of these sports, you get a lot of kind of surprising results sometimes because you get so much more, the Stars get so much more attention because how do we take this guy away? Okay, how do we take NBA? How do we take the corner 3 away from this player? Okay, this is what we're going to focus on. During the regular season, you can't really do that. But again, the hockey, like we were watching the Game 7, the first period, the Panthers should have been blown out. Like Edmonton was all over them. Mm-hmm. And when they were up 2-0, I said to him, like, this might be over. And now Dominic's screaming, 2-0, it's not over. They have them where they want them. But then the second period was developing. The Panthers were, they tilted the ice in their favor. They were having the better chances. And then they gave up the third goal, but it was just like halfway through that second period, you're like, I feel like this is over already. And I feel like Edmonton kind of felt that way too.
Yeah.
It was just like they weren't as aggressive. They were on their heels more.
Well, it becomes that feeling of like, what can we do?
Right, we can't.
Everything we throw at these guys, they answer in time.
Like we can't. How do we get one puck past this guy?
Yeah,
we cannot.
Well, it also like the chances they had in those first 2 games were, they were quality chances. And Bobrovsky stole a couple of them away. We kept them in the game, but those chances disappeared.
Yeah,
they totally took away the middle of the ice. Everything was around the perimeter. Getting into the zone became such a hassle. They love to carry it in. They cannot dump and chase. They're just not big enough to dump and chase, especially against defensemen like Ekblad and Nyquist and Mikkola and Seth Jones as well, who are these big, thick-body guys who, they're not going to win the race, but they don't even want to win the race.
No.
They want to fight you for that puck.
They're essentially sitting back saying, egging you on, like, come at us.
Yeah.
Come on, we want you to.
Yeah. And they'll just tire you down, and they'll grind you up because that's the game they like to play. I always feel like, too, maybe I'm wrong with this, but I always feel like, too, when it comes to the special teams in the playoffs for hockey, I would much rather have an elite power play kill than a power play offense because I feel like the offense always has, all it takes is like 2 games, maybe 3 games in a row. And some teams end up relying so much on that power play. Mm-hmm. And then the whistle, it gets swallowed a lot more the farther you go in the playoffs. We saw plenty of calls Game 6 that could have been called. Yeah. That would have been called in the regular season. Or maybe it would have been called game 1 or 2.
Right. And it's like, you're not going to get them. Okay, your power play, this huge advantage you have is suddenly gone because of just circumstances. Similar to baseball, where like the home runs, when it gets cold out, are going to disappear. So you can't overly rely on that. So I always feel like the teams that have these great power play offenses in the playoffs tend to struggle because it goes away either because they don't get the calls, because they're facing much better penalty kills than before. And it's just, to me, I hate teams that construct themselves. Like the Penguins used to do that all the time. It was like Crosby, Malkin. Hey, we've got this great penalty offense, but when we face a great penalty kill team, all right, suddenly the penalty's over. They're on the bench now, and the other team's on the offensive.
Well, I feel like, going back to those old Bruins, I feel like that's why made them so successful in some of these teams. Like they'd go up against in the 2011 finals, they'd go up against a juggernaut offensive, great power play team in Vancouver, but once they couldn't get the power play goals, there was no offense.
Right.
So the second, like when you rely too much on special team offense, when it's not there, what do? You have to be able to play the 5-on-5 game.
And a lot of teams, I feel like they just can't adapt or adjust to that sometimes, especially in the playoffs when it gets more physical and you face the better players.
Well, I feel like no other team is also better at adapting than Florida.
Right.
They really created such a perfect squad where they're not even the biggest team. Actually, physically, the biggest team this year was the Boston Bruins. And every team with speed blew right by them every chance they got. Because it's not, you need to be tough, but you need to have some level of agility and ability to move.
And some skill.
Yeah. And if you're going to have a big lumbering defenseman like Zdeno Chara was, you kind of have to put him with someone who is a little more agile, a little more better with moving the puck and stuff like that. So, and they have, again, just these perfect selection of defensemen and offensive guys who can play defense, like Barkov, who's now that Bergeron's gone, is the number one defensive offensive guy. And yeah, it's just this smothering type of game that everyone is now trying to emulate. The Bruins tried to emulate it. Oh, we're going to become the biggest team in the league. It's not just about size. You got to know how to use that size. Like Trent Frederick was actually a great player to counter Florida. Now, I don't think Edmonton knows how to use him at all, but it's clear that they see that we need a guy like Trent Frederick to counter this in some form. We need a guy that can move, but can take the body, can fight, can be physical, can take a hit and get up.
I also think, I just want to throw this out, I think it's hilarious. I know you kind of touched on it. The state of Florida has 4 cups in the span of 6 years. Canada still
6 appearances.
And Canada still can't get a cup. And even Vegas, a team that didn't exist, 6-7 years ago, has a cup. And Canada doesn't.
In those 6 appearances, these last 6 years by Florida, they've taken 3 cups away from Canada.
Yep.
The Montreal Canadiens in 2021, and then obviously Edmonton the last 2 years.
I mean, those Canadians were frauds, but...
Oh, they had no business being there. It was literally a circumstance of the weird...
Corey Price was unbelievable for the first 3 rounds.
All right, so with that, we're going to take our final break. Oh, you got something?
Real quick. Shout out to Corey Perry.
Okay, because he won
Once
the cup.
again, you lost in the finals. My God, if he didn't have that 07 cup, he might have killed himself. And shout out to the St. Louis Blues, this year's ultimate loser.
Okay.
You lost to the Jets, who lost to Dallas, who lost to Oilers, who lost to the Panthers. Ultimate loser.
Okay.
And Brad Marchand, I'm happy for him.
Oh, of course. We didn't even say his name. Yeah, of course I'm happy for Brad.
All right,
Although they're going off on Instagram, it's kind of annoying me.
We take one final break, and we'll finish up quickly with the Lakers sale. The Astros back in control, and our Darwin as always, so stick with us, guys. And we are back here at Slo Ur Roll. Moving on real quick. The Lakers, they get sold for $10 billion to a guy who did own part of the team already, and he owns the Dodgers. I don't know. Does this feel like some more NBA shadiness? I'm sure the Buss family maybe was over it too, but I don't know. Get the Luka trade. That doesn't work out, though, because the Lakers still get bounced. You have an NBA Finals that nobody's watching because it's Indiana and OKC. The Buss family has clearly not done a good job at this point now of running the Lakers because the kids took over and they just don't know what they're doing. And now you get it to a very rich owner who has done an amazing job with the Dodgers, has turned them into one of the biggest brands in all of sports, one of the biggest revenues in all of sports. And now, conveniently, once again, the NBA has tried to help out the Los Angeles Lakers as their product continues to die. TNT basically booted them out, saying that they wanted nothing to do with them in their TV contract anymore. I don't know. Feels a little convenient. Dallas makes that trade. Dallas gets their back scratched, make sure they get the number 1 overall pick. Now the Lakers are getting, the Buss family has finally been, in my opinion, got forced out a little bit by the league. Am I being too conspiracy theory here?
Charles Barkley would rather analyze hockey than basketball at this point. Well, I mean, this is a situation of, I don't think the kids really cared.
I don't think they did either.
And this is the last chance they have to get a $10 billion sale. Because they know next year it's not going to happen. Because, nobody's watching. Nobody cares. No one likes any NBA players anymore. Everyone hates everybody. Like, the league is sour and dying. And they know it. So this is the last chance they have before everybody truly knows and nothing has value anymore.
I mean, that's why Mark Cuban sold. I mean, I think you're being too much because I think sports will always, in a content era where, it's hard to make television shows anymore unless it's streaming services and all that, these networks will be dying for content and stuff, so there will always be something there.
But Gen Z doesn't care about sports.
As much.
Like, at all.
I mean, football still does fine.
None of which is Gen Z.
Oh, really? Huh.
I mean, obviously there are Gen Z people that care.
Yes, I get
But,
you.
like, not even close to what millennials cared.
Yeah.
Who also did not care as much as Gen X, who probably actually cared more than boomers, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Football.
But I don't know. It seems like some more shady dealings by the league, in my opinion. Again, not saying the Buss family didn't already want out, but I don't know. Seems a little convenient to happen now after the Luka thing didn't work out. I'm just saying.
I mean, I think it's tough because, the Busses, especially their father, was such a legendary figure in all of sports. And, to see the kids squabble and fight over the business. I think it was several years ago, Jeannie Buss had to, sue her brothers to take control. And then she made some very poor decisions, too. I mean, everyone's like, oh, Magic Johnson's great. He's going to save the franchise. The guy didn't know how to run a basketball team. And then they hire Kobe Bryant's agent to run the team, and that's been, other than the Luka trade, that's been a disaster.
Which was handed to them,
right? So
you will never get me to believe that was authentic.
I know. So I mean, part of me is incredibly disappointed that this is not going to keep going the way it is, and that it is going to a guy who might say, "Hey, you know what? I'm actually going to start hiring people who know what they're doing."
Oh, he knows what he's doing. That's the problem.
It's tough because the Lakers brand is so big in that it does still draw. I know NBA ratings aren't good, but they still do draw so much attention, so much buzz.
Individual teams still do fine.
Right.
Celtics do
the
fine.
Lakers, Celtics, the Knicks still do well. It's still, so I mean, to me, it's hard for me to say that the league is conspiring to say, hey, we're going to get rid of this legendary name of Buss on this legendary franchise just to bring in a guy from baseball to save the team.
Well, he already owned part of the Lakers.
No, I understand he owned, but it's still a big difference from what it was to what it is now. I mean, as someone who, as will admit, has been actually following the NBA a little bit more now, these NBA finals actually have been fantastic. I'm just going to say it. They've been very entertaining.
They've been entertaining, but nobody's watching.
Nobody's watching. I mean,
because it's OKC in Indiana.
Right. I mean, everyone's like, oh, one player in Oklahoma City we know? Okay, great. We know one player in the Pacers? Great. The league was upset that the Celtics or Knicks didn't make it.
The league was crying as the Knicks were getting eliminated.
Or at least someone else on the other side, maybe. Lakers, Warriors.
Yeah. But those happened early. I mean, when Steph went down, you knew the Warriors were done.
Yeah. But I mean, I think in terms of the sale itself, I mean, we knew the Celtics were being shopped around, and I don't remember anything about the Lakers potentially being sold. And again,
it got sold in-house to a guy who turned the Dodgers into a absolute powerhouse of an organization.
The team of the decade, essentially, of any sport is the Dodgers, almost. And then so it's like, it is a little fishy. But $10 billion, when we were just talking a month, 2 months ago about the $6 billion the Celtics were for. Now the Lakers, they're getting the arena. I think they're getting something else involved too. Is it the WNBA team maybe or something? There's something else that's
Probably, yeah.
getting connected to it as well. Whereas the Celtics was, you're getting the Celtics. That's it.
Yeah, you don't even get the stadium.
Right. So it's like a $4 billion difference between the two franchises that are worth the most in the league is shocking. And maybe it is conspiracy. I don't know, but that just blows my mind, the money that was spent on that.
I know.
But again, other than the Yankees or the Cowboys, can you think of a franchise that could be worth remotely close to that?
No. Except the Dodgers at this point.
The Dodgers,
yes, themselves, maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
there's
at this point. But other than that, no.
I mean, you have to start looking at what, like Manchester United or something like that.
Yeah.
Even that's comparable.
Exactly. That's the only thing I could think of that would be comparable.
Well, I mean, the top couple NFL teams.
Yes,
because of how much
there
the
is
NFL
a few
franchises have.
There is a
exploded.
few because
the
football
league
is such a
itself.
king.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it really is what the Cowboys.
It's probably who were the biggest.
Cowboys, Eagles, Patriots are up there.
Yeah.
Niners are.
Probably, yeah.
They are.
But it's none of
I actually think the Niners might be the third most valuable NFL franchise.
I know it's Cowboys 1, Patriots 2.
Actually, are the Giants?
I don't think so.
I don't think they are anymore.
Okay.
Listen,
like-
you can't lose for a decade and still be as good.
And which is shocking that it's not one of the New York teams, or I mean, maybe it's the Rams. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know.
Anyways, we're getting off topic. But
Yeah, there's a caveat to this. You could maybe in 4 to 5 years, the Raiders would be up there because their move to Vegas has been so successful.
Right.
They made the most revenue, I believe, in the league last year,
that
or at
doesn't
least
surprise
second
me.
most. But obviously, before they're worth that, they have to get over the Oakland,
Situation.
problems. Well, you just got to financially catch up. Is basically what I'm saying. But yeah, I think there's some shady stuff. AL West. My Houston Astros, I say that only because I picked them to do this.
You can't have multiple teams.
I don't.
league.
I said that only because I picked them that they were going to do this when they were 4 games back. They now have a commanding 5-game lead on the division, 8-2 in their last 10 games. They have stormed past the Mariners, and this is not nearly as good an Astros team as its previous generations. But I think that for an organization that gets nothing but crapped on because of this spying stuff, which I think has been a little bit overblown, considering when we looked at, then it seemed like the Yankees were kind of doing the same thing. It also seemed like the league knew what was going
Might have
on.
been doing kind of the same.
It also seemed like the last season or two, it seemed like everyone kind of knew. So it's like, well, all right, well, if you're not adjusting to that and changing things, well, then it's kind of you problem. Not saying it was okay. It's not. You went from pushing the envelope to blowing it wide open. But you got to give this organization a lot of credit. The ability that they have shown to maintain this winning through a long stretch of time, well past now when they did it with the prospects and that young core. They have moved off the right people at the right time. They have made good decisions. They do spend money, but it's not like they can throw all their money at stuff. And they even took a step back this year, but still, with taking a step back as far as not wanting to spend as much, they spent money on Paredes, and it wasn't a ton, and they've gotten great value out of that. They moved on from George Springer, and they kept Altuve. That's paid dividends. The one real mistake they made was the Jose Abreu contract. That's the biggest whiff that they've had during this winning span. But this is, to me, one of the best run organizations in all of sports at this point. And I don't think that they will relinquish this AL West lead at any point. They're doing this without Yordan Alvarez. Spencer Arrighetti went down as well. Paredes even had to miss a couple of games, though he is back. That would have been probably devastating and maybe have changed my outlook on things. But the Mariners still don't score enough runs, and still, to me, when you have not shown yet that you are willing to be aggressive enough to make the changes, make the moves, then I don't think this is going to change. So, I mean, I'm sure you're probably in the same boat now. I mean, they have a 5-game lead.
That's not commanding, though.
Okay.
The Red Sox erased 6 games in a week and a half.
They did.
On the Yankees.
They did.
I wouldn't call, especially at this point in the season. I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
They've established a gap.
Mm-hmm.
They're putting space in between them and the teams behind them.
And again, it's about Seattle has never been willing to go out and make big enough moves to get their roster where it needs to be.
But now,
and until they do that, I don't believe they're going to do it.
But they could do it now that was it Kirby's back.
Yeah.
Which one just came back?
Kirby, he has not been good since he came back.
Well, he is he is a great pitcher for the most of the time.
Yes.
And that they have excess of those.
And you could trade one for a bat. We've been saying that for 3 seasons.
Jaron Duran is available.
Jesse, this
Almost
is like
definitely.
Jesse. Just like I go down with the ship with the Cardinals a lot, you go down with the ship with the Mariners a lot.
I don't because they kind of annoy me at this point.
I know.
Because like you're not doing it, but it's like it's right there, bro. It's right there.
You just can't move off it.
I think you see that every preview for the season. The Mariners, I think this is their year. I think this is your.
I get
Come
it.
June, they were.
Jesse, I get it. We all have them. The Cardinals are mine.
Let me put it this way: if the Tigers weren't as good this year as they are, that would be Dominic. Because I think it's been going on 3-4 years. He's picked
Well,
the
going on
worst.
2.
No, I was on the Tigers first,
Yes.
and they
Disappointing.
didn't do it at all.
Yes.
And then I was just like, I'm out with you. Well, because it was Torkelson's like rookie season. I was like,
Yes.
this is it.
Yes.
And then like here we are 3 years later.
I
and now
agreed
it's
with
it.
you to an extent, but I thought you were jumping the gun a little bit. I was like, I see the potential, but you're way too early.
Well, 'cause-
then last year I thought it was going to be the year. Didn't turn out well.
They were being aggressive that offseason.
They were being aggressive that offseason.
None of it worked out though.
But I was never a fan of Javi Baez, so like when they made that move, I was like,
Yeah.
ugh. I was like, ugh. Oh,
right.
That was the wrong kind of aggressive.
So back to the Astros. We've already established their division for the most part sucks. Their offense is what? Pena and
Paredes.
Paredes, isn't that kind of?
Altuve.
He's
I
been
mean,
okay.
Altuve has not had a great season, though.
No, but he's still productive.
Yes, he can be productive.
But I feel like if any of those go down, it could be an issue with that offense.
Oh, absolutely.
Brown, the pitcher there, he might win the Cy Young this year. I
Yes.
don't know. But after that, it's Valdez and a bunch of guys who are in the 4s for the ERA.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is like.
The bullpen's really good, though.
No, I know, but it's such a top-heavy team right now.
It is?
It's just.
Christian Walker's supposed to be better than this.
Yes.
Yes.
Yanir Diaz he's a good player.
Right.
Productive,
So
productive
it's just
offensive
like,
catcher.
It's just it's so much relying on like 4 or 5 players.
Okay. But you're looking at things in the macro. I am not saying that this team is good enough to compete with the rest of the American League. That is not what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm
Just the Tigers. But
It's the Tigers. It's
But-
the Tigers and everybody else.
But I just looked it up. Do you know when the last time the Astros?
If I were to make tiers, if I were to make tiers of the American League, Tigers would be tier 1. There's no one else there right now. Third tier, probably Yankees,
It's not even a tier
Jays,
2?
Rays. I said tier 2.
No, you said third tier.
Oh, I'm sorry. Second tier, Yankees, Jays, Rays.
Jays.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a believer
No, you're
in this team right now. And then third tier, I have Red Sox, Astros,
Seattle.
Seattle.
Wait, you wouldn't put the Astros in
Yeah, I
the
don't
second
get it.
tier?
No, I wouldn't. I don't think they're that good.
I don't
Okay.
But they're good enough to win this division.
Well, you know what?
You think Toronto is better than them?
I do.
No.
Yes. Gossman, Barrios.
You smell that? That's crack being
I just
That's
looked,
ridiculous.
I just looked it up. Do you know when the last time the Astros played a team with a winning record was? June 1st.
They played the Mariners.
June 1st.
Well, how'd they do against the Mariners? I think they won the series.
No, they split.
Oh, they split a 4-game series?
Yes.
Lies.
Well, but
Am I missing something?
Well,
But
they won
again,
both games
I
in
don't know why I
June.
can't find it.
I think they won both games in June,
What
though.
month is June?
Let me double check this. But no, I'm pretty sure like they played the Angels, the A's,
You mean the end of May?
the Twins, the White Sox.
Okay, but we've also established that
Cleveland,
no one
Pittsburgh.
has a winning record in the American League unless you're from the East.
Oh, I'm
So as
sorry.
long as
It
you're
was-
not playing the American
It
League
was
East.
actually the Rays. It wasn't even the. They haven't played Seattle since the end of May.
Okay.
So
They split with the Rays.
right. So again, it's
So they
been,
split with the Rays, and I thought they won 2 out of 3 from Seattle.
No, they won. Where is the Seattle series?
May.
It was,
End
yeah,
of May.
End of May.
They won 3 out of 4.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. That was a month ago.
That was a month
That's
ago.
when it all started.
Exactly.
And
so
it
they're
has been
beating-
nothing. It has been nothing but a boulder rolling downhill ever since.
Oh yeah.
Taking over that.
As they
taking down
steamroll
those White Sox and those
As they
Twins.
steamroll the
And
Minnesota
Pittsburgh.
Twins.
Don't
Yeah,
forget
watch out for those Pirates.
Well,
A's
all
are in
Seattle
there.
does is wait for Cal Raleigh to hit a home run and then hope to
And then he doesn't.
hope to dear God they can hold on to the lead from then on in.
I'm just saying. I feel like there's
Yeah,
potential.
you're talking about it in the macro. It's not about the macro.
I'm saying there's a potential for a lot of fool's gold with the Astros. That's all.
As long as they stay healthy, there is
one
none.
hamstring goes, one shoulder starts.
Listen, they're
tightening.
already without their best hitter in Yordan Alvarez, though.
Wasn't even doing that great this year.
Yeah, exactly. They can do it without him. That sounds like you know what? I'm taking it back. World Series.
But the Toronto Blue Jays are better.
They are. The Jays are better.
I never understood the moving Kyle Tucker move.
They just didn't want to pay him.
I guess you didn't think they were gonna be able to get it done. Like,
I think that Houston thought that there was a chance they could take a step back this year, and they didn't know how much. So we might as well focus on what is the next group that we are going to be able to build another 5 to 6 years off of. I think that's what it's about.
but that's still Altuve for some reason.
Well, he's the leader. I think he thought good in the clubhouse.
Yes.
Expensive
It's
too. Could they move him really?
He-
I don't think they were actively trying to take people out. I don't think they were tanking, bro. It's just, did they want to make a big financial investment when they didn't know what the new crop of guys were going to be and they didn't know how good they'd be this
And
year?
Altuve is kind of the face of all their success the last
That
several
too.
years.
Yeah.
So it's hard to justify oh, sorry, he got old. Sorry, we got to
Yeah.
get rid of him.
Who was the face of the Red Sox a week ago?
By default, though,
Yeah.
because we moved everybody else out of town.
Yeah, but even then, nobody's going to be like, oh yeah, we really need Altuve. He's really going to save us this
You
year.
know what? Garrett Crochet is the face of.
He might be now.
He really might be. It's sale day all over again.
I think Duran is,
He might be.
but I could see Crochet being. Yeah.
All right. But anyway, to the Houston Astros for being able to maintain this winning now. Has it been a decade? It's been a long time.
This is like the 9th year, I think. So
And again-
almost.
And I agree with Dan. They are in a precarious situation. If Paredes went down, I would not feel the same way about them winning this division. But they are doing it without Yordan, who is going to come back at some point, and Arrigetti's going to come back at some point as well. So they are adding people back to the roster.
And I mean, they are usually aggressive at the deadline. They
Yes.
will try to make the team better. If they
Exactly.
can.
So,
Now, again, is that
whereas
enough to-
Seattle never does, or at least kind of does, but
Seattle's going to be we're 3 games out. Time to sell. Sorry.
then no, they'll be like, all right, well, let's go get Dominic Smith, or
He's busy with the Giants right now,
I know,
manning first base for the Giants.
yeah. They're like, let's go get Lane Thomas.
You know who might have paid a lot for Raffey Devers?
Who?
The Astros.
They might have. Although I still feel like they're happy with what's going on this year, but I don't think they want to make big financial commitments yet.
Maybe.
They really want to find out what is the next core going to be.
Maybe.
But
Good
with
wrap it
that,
up.
we got to finish this up. Drum roll, please, for the Darwin. This week's Darwin Award winner is Angel Reese. This has been a long time coming, in my opinion, because she had a very busy off season, and it seems like everything that she did had nothing to do with basketball and her craft, because she didn't get any better at all. If anything, maybe she got worse, and yet still wants to keep up this idea that there's some rivalry with Caitlin Clark, and the league really wants to make it seem like there is. But it's kind of, in my opinion, hurting the league a little bit because it's become laughable. If one person is that much better than you, it's hard to have a rivalry.
That's why they're attacking her.
LeBron James
Physically.
didn't have rivalry with, the 7th guy on the roster for, whatever random team, And it also got worse because she said people were watching because of her too.
Yeah.
And then Caitlin had a leg injury, and the ratings for the NBA dropped 30%, I think. So it's just been it's been an L season all the way around. And I'm not even someone I don't like when athletes don't. I like when athletes don't like each other. I think that's part of the problem with the NBA. Honestly, is everyone wants to just soft and buddy and friends now.
We're training
Well,
in the
I
offseason
think it'd be a
together.
great thing.
That's kind of modern sports period.
I think it would be a great thing for the WNBA if this could be a real rivalry. And I'm fine if they don't like each other. But, like, the other person has to hold up their end of the bargain, and she's kind of worse than she was last year even. Like, there was an Instagram page that started betting on her to miss her first shot, and they hit, like, 6 straight days. It's been laughable at this point. Particularly laughable again when you're doing the Met Gala. You're on every sort of podcast, started your own podcast, doing everything but basketball in the off season, and then the season starts, and you're pretty bad still.
Didn't McDonald's even make a sandwich for her or something like
Yeah,
that?
like
She's also
when you're getting this much attention for not being good at your actual thing, makes your league a bit more of a joke, and has also made everything that she has said age like milk.
she's also on the cereal Reese's Puffs,
Yes, she is.
which are like, all right, kind of clever. But I didn't confirm this, but allegedly prices or sales for the cereal plummeted.
Did they really?
Yeah.
That's really funny. She's just unlikable. But again, if you were good, like, okay.
Well, I think that's funny too. I forget which, it might have been like Stephen A. Smith or someone was trying to defend her, like, oh, she's not like the high volume scorer like Caitlin Clark. She's like a Draymond Green type, and it's like, that's not what sells. It's Draymond Green sells because people are like, is he gonna throw a punch at somebody?
Well, he's also matched with other players.
Yeah, he's also won
Right,
championship.
right, but he's like he's a key component of the Warriors. But everyone goes, yeah, if he was on another team, he's probably not doing nearly as well.
Yeah, Draymond also doesn't get delusional and try and think that he's the face of the league or he's the face of his team.
Draymond seems to get it.
Yeah, Draymond does get it. So, like, that's the other part that just makes it all the more laughable. It's like Angel thinks she's the face of her team and thinks, like, truly when she talks, seems like she really thinks that she's as good as Caitlin.
She might be the face of her team.
Not
I don't know anyone else on her team.
I know, but
I can't. You know what?
she's the
I
face.
don't know what team she plays for.
But she's the face of the team only because the WNBA is the way it is, and she was famous in college. It has nothing to do with her play.
Sure.
And
I knew who
truly,
she was
when she
before
talks,
she even made it. Yeah.
seems like she's delusional enough to think that she's as good as Caitlin, which is just becoming like the gap is widening by the day.
Is that what LSU teaches its athletes?
They don't teach them anything about life. They teach them how to win, which is why LSU.
They don't teach them any education.
Which is why LSU baseball, by the way, is about to play for the College World Series once again. And they are going to win their second College World Series.
They should not be there.
2 of the last 3 years.
They are so lucky to be there.
No, they did that because they're LSU. Because
No.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's going on. You know what they do at LSU?
The guy got hit in the head with the baseball in Arkansas because of LSU.
Yes, because all they do
why.
because all they do is win.
Again,
That's all.
Arkansas guy makes the catch in left
Do they
field.
not make? Do they
lose.
necessarily make great decisions off the diamond of the field? No, they don't. But they win when they're on it.
Because Arkansas
No
dropped
one
the ball.
wins more championships in sports than LSU. Go Tigers!
And they would trade all those for a college football championship.
Yes, we would. I would be fine if baseball, basketball never won another one. If I'm got a
Just
football
one
one.
more national title. That's all we ask for. Not even a Heisman.
But back
is
to Angel.
enough.
Yeah, it's just becoming, for anyone who criticizes the WNBA, she has become a lightning rod for why, and it's getting worse by the day.
I like that you said a craft.
I know.
Okay.
But
That's
anyway,
funny.
so congratulations to this week's Darwin Award winner, Angel Reese. That has been it for Slow Your Roll this week. Dan, it was good to have you on. Thank you very much.
Saturday time.
I know. I figured you would. A lot of people like it too. So it's probably going to stay for weekends for maybe going forward, honestly. But anyway, have a great rest of your week, ladies and gentlemen.